Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Pod Fruit, One Piece Through New Eyes. On today's episode, we will be discussing Volume 9, titled Tears. An appropriate title. Volume 9 covers chapters 72 through 81. I am the host, Michael, and with me as always, we have our One Piece rookies, V and Dylan.
Hi.
Hello.
As always, we just want to remind you that if you're looking to follow us on socials, that's where you can go to find all of our announcements. You can find us on Twitter at PodFruit, on Instagram, PodFruit, same on TikTok, same on YouTube. Our Discord is in the bio, and I'm going to take a second to say at the end of April, we will be having a live stream. That will be something that will be announced on the podcast, but also on our socials. So we would also love it if you took a moment to give us a rating, give us a follow. We love that sweet, sweet interaction. So without further ado, let's begin. And I have a summary, again, taken from the archives of the publisher Viz. All credit goes to them. So, in Volume 9, it is revealed that Luffy's navigator, Nami, has been working all along for Sawtooth Arlong to steal enough treasure to buy back her village. In return, the pirate has handed over her fortune to the Navy. Now, Luffy and his crew prepare to risk their lives for Nami's sake against their most ruthless opponent yet. That is our summary of Volume 9. On today's episode, Dylan will be kicking things off with Chapter 72. Dylan, could you go ahead?
Yeah, I would admit, like, coming between, like, I'm looking back over it again, and it's like, coming back to it, it's kind of like a jarring start, because, like, we ended the last one, they were in, I think his name is Genzo, Arlong was, having an interaction with him, so he got weapons, not dealing with that, and it's pretty much, he's laying the line down, it's like, hey, either give him up, or I'm going to kill you, and if any of you else even pipe up about it and not like it, I'm going to kill you all. You will be made an example of. And more kind of covering, it's like, big old racial superiority complex Arlong's got going on. I know I made some mentions of, like, kind of like fascist Nazi kind of themes earlier. At one point he does say it's like, no, we are the master race, and it's like,
it's giving Nazi.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen any goose stepping from these fishmen.
Can you imagine Hachi saluting?
Oh God.
Yeah, that's just like
which
all of them
tentacle?
marching out of Arlong. All of them. And Genzo's getting beat up and everyone's getting pretty angry. Looks like they're getting ready to fight back. But the whole time it's like, no, the only way we win is if we survive. Live in spite of them. Fucking, here we Usopp, seeing these people being downtrodden, he gains a pair. And
For a second, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice, like, half-page panel of his exploding star, just completely enveloping, like, all of Arlong's body. Great artwork on that. I really love that panel. And then Usopp, kind of his false bravado. Fearless warrior, the sea captain Usopp. I have
Classic.
8,000 hardened killers behind me. And Arlong is pissed. He's like, I don't care if you have 80,000. I'll paper my walls with their hides.
That was a pretty intense line.
Yeah.
It's like, good lord. And then he picks up the fucking house he's on top of and basically freaking RKOs that shit. And it's kind of funny to see because all of his crew are like, oh no, not another village. We don't make money when you destroy the villages. It's like, calm down. Like, we've already lost this village, and he's...
I wonder how many times they've had that conversation with him. I feel like that's not the first time they've had to say that.
And he doesn't care. He's just like, we'll find a different village to tap. And it's like, woof. When this happens, I love the panel of Usopp as the villains be like, help, I'm gonna die. Just the way he's drawn, like Usopp's, anytime like you need a little bit of goofy, like comedic relief, Usopp is the perfect character for it because he's just so easy to draw really goofy.
It's just his face.
Yeah, it's surprisingly expressive for how goofy it looks. Like, you can really read any emotion he's got going on.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting to see. But he pretty much cuts and runs immediately. And then Arlong just being held back by like half of his crew. It's like, get him. And everyone, they're like, no, let's get him back to Arlong Park before we lose more money. Like, we can't, As Usopp's running away, he does Egg Star, which basically shoots his rotten egg out of his slingshot. He's like, oh my god, it works. And no, it just made him angrier.
It slowed him down, I think.
Yeah, for a second, it was like, oh, that smells. Now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah,
now I'm going to kill you even harder.
Nah. Yeah, before I might have just, like, killed you quick. Now I'm going to make you suffer.
Yeah.
And then after all this commotion, Nami shows up and immediately gets the cold shoulder from everybody in the village. She shows up, everybody leaves the square and slams their doors in her face. Which, I mean, seems a little harsh, but you know, she works for Arlong's Pirates. Screw her. So you see her sitting in front of a grave when her stepsister comes up and kind of just like, everyone hates you. You're aware of that, right? She's like, yeah, I'm a pirate. I don't care. I'm only 7 million berries away, and then I can buy the town back. Which, geez, the fact that 100 million berries, I don't know what the conversion to USD is, but like, it's a lot of.
It's like $10.
A lot of money. Oh yeah, in that case, it's like fuck. Wash dishes for a couple hours, you got it. And then I love the end of the chapter. Like the last page is just you see Arlong Park, bunch of down and out fishermen with.
I think they're dead. I think at least a lot of them are dead.
I'm kind of hoping. And you get the shot of just Solo with his feet kicked back.
Hell
like,
yeah, you do.
Made a promise to Luffy. I can bring that girl back.
Yeah.
and the stupid punch. She's definitely up to something fishy.
That's the third time we've had a fishy pun.
Yeah, but that end of that being the end of the chapter, it's like, damn. So I don't know, like I'm still really curious about him because it seems like when he's mortally wounded, all he needs is a nap, and I don't get, and that makes me curious. Like I want to understand why is it like all you need is a little bit of sleep and you're good to go again? Like I know you're not gum fruit or devil fruit, but what is it? It's got to be something.
He just needs a little nappy nap.
Sometimes I needed a little nappy nap.
Right?
Yeah, my little nappy naps are like 12 hours.
Yeah,
It's called sleep.
No, it's called hibernation. It's like I got the day off, I'm sleeping. But yeah, that's all I really got. Oh, actually, yeah, I did see something cool in the SBS. Third panel, page 18 of volume 7. There seems to be some writing on the knife that Sanji is holding, but I can't make out what it says. What is written there? Please tell me. It says you couldn't read it because I wrote it so no one could read it. Still impressed that you spotted it. I will confess I did in fact write Fist of the North Star, which is, I believe, Fist of the North Star is the one where it's like, oh my wa mo shindaru.
Oh.
I believe that's the Fist of the Star.
Nani?
And I saw that, I was like, that's really cool. Like, I did not notice at all any writing on that knife, because I think that's when they steal Patty's knife, I believe is the knife he's talking about.
Huh. I didn't notice either.
Yeah, but it's like cool. It's like, because I mean, in a couple of these SBSs, he's mentioned inspiration from other like manga and animated series that he draws inspiration from, and he like puts little tidbits in.
Yeah, can confirm. Omae mo Shindaru is from Fist of the North Star.
I thought it was, which I've never actually like written or seen. I've just seen like all the memes, and then I watched one guy.
Kind of makes me want to watch it now or read it or something.
Well, I think watching. I think it was like in the 80s is when it came out, so it's probably like a little dated looking.
Yeah,
but I've seen some guy use like a remix thing and remix that, and it came out pretty cool. But anyways, that's all I got in this chapter.
My turn. To kind of echo what Dylan said about Usopp's face being just so comical at times and so easily readable and expressive. You know, we start the chapter off with a great shot of Usopp's face to, you know, kick it off. Shocked face, wide mouth, classic. I wouldn't call this amazement considering what he's saying, but definitely shock and or horror. And to comment on what he says, the thought of an Arlong Empire is actually terrifying. I can just picture what that would look like with like gross, huge, slimy bodies absolutely decimating whatever they touch. Like, no thanks. This is the stuff.
I think there would be a lot of slaves, a lot of human slaves.
Yeah. This is the stuff of nightmares. And, you know, I think at this point we kind of realize that Arlong is a tyrant, and he like, this is no joke. There's mention there about weapon ownership, and I have thoughts on it. I believe that people should be allowed to own arms and weapons when it's done with safety and responsibility in mind, but whatever trend is going on in Arlong's behavior of trying to kind of control and dictate what goes on in the village is super concerning, and he's demonstrated that in many ways thus far, and it's bad news. It is bad news. And yeah, he truly is a menace. We see at around page 4 and 5, you know, when confronted by a single person, Arlong will threaten the whole village and has no qualms or reservations about it. And we can see it, you know, just in the way that he's drawn at the top of page 5. He's scary.
That's a good panel.
It's a really good panel, but it's a scary panel. Like, yeah, I don't know. It evokes something very visceral for me. I don't know if it's just the way he's drawn and the teeth and the eyes and just everything about it makes me like squirm and ugh.
And he's smiling.
Oh, yeah. So wide, like devilish and just.
There's always something really unnerving about a really toothy smile.
Yeah, and like slimy and like gross. Like it's just I don't like it. And yeah, I wrote down for pages 6 and 7. I wrote, "Leave Mr. Genzo alone." A la leave Brittany alone type of vibe. The poor man did nothing wrong. Like, just let him be.
He's got a little pinwheel on his hat.
I know, he's so cute. He's
nothing wrong. He knew he wasn't supposed to have those weapons.
I love the onomatopoeia for his pinwheel.
Wait, what is it?
It's just like every time he's in scene, you always hear like click, click, or like clack, 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 clack.
Oh,
right,
really?
Because it's spinning.
Yeah.
I hadn't even noticed that.
That's true. Yeah, clack, clack. I can see it now. That's a good observation. Yeah. Anyway, pinwheel. Keep it. I like it. Yeah, and Dylan talked about it a bit earlier, but Usopp's courage is commendable, but he is wholly unequipped to deal with this. Like, just shut up. Just whatever you think you're doing, just stop, leave, don't do it.
Breathe.
Yeah. Go take a
it.
walk.
Also, it's like, you're a really good shot. Get a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Sorry,
maybe slingshot isn't the way to go. Not with this guy. Not with that guy, anyway.
Yeah, David and Goliath called.
They want their allegory back.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Biblical tales. Yeah, and then I noted, does Arlong literally just grab the house by the foundation and flips it? What the heck? And the answer is yes. That is seemingly what he does. And yeah, that's where he says, we are the master race. And my only comment was, yikes, bruh.
Bro, it's 2024.
That's all I had to say about that was yikes. Yeah, I also, just talking about the art, also, I've been trying to pay more attention. I really enjoyed mid-page 14, the middle panel of Arlong. I feel like it's a really good display of how comically exaggerated things are in this universe, but it's also legitimately creepy. Just like his traits are pulled in every which direction and really exaggerated, and I feel like that speaks to a trend that we've been seeing in the manga so far, where emphasis is really put through the drawing and through the art style.
Just above that is that ridiculous Usopp panel as well.
Yeah, the I'm gonna die one. Yeah, exactly. So that's it fits, right? But it's interesting choices, and I feel like he's very intentional. Oda's really intentional in how he places these moments. So now I know better now, but I had a little bit of a V-conspiracy moment when we see Nami being sat in front of the cross. I wrote, we seemingly get clarification with regards to Nami's intent when she says that she wants to buy the village back, which makes sense considering what we've come to know of her. And I said, I'm noticing that she's sitting near a cross at page 18. I wonder if the person who's buried there is who she calls Belle-Mère. And then I said, is it her stepmother, considering the fact that Nojiko is her stepsister? And the answer is yes. And again, I was going back to earlier when she first mentions Belle-Mère. I was like, Belle-Mère means stepmom in French, so I was like, oh, I think that's it. And sure enough, we do find out all of this later on, which we will get to. Ending on a fantastic shot of Zoro looking absolutely delicious, comfortably seated on the throne. I just wrote, thank you, Oda. I'm very pleased with this. This makes
That'll do.
Yes, exactly. This makes the rest of this volume digestible.
It's like you made up for the lack of Zolo during the Krieg saga.
Yes, also this. This was good. This made me very happy. I am pleased. But yeah, that's what I had for 72. Michael?
Yeah, I had a good bit for 72 here. I thought we're seeing a very menacing side of Arlong here. We're really getting, the other side of that Hawaiian shirt that he's wearing.
Right.
We kind of talked about that last time.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a man who is not afraid to kill an entire village of people because of the actions of one person. I thought he was super menacing here. I thought that the notes, like the panels where he is trying to be threatening, were successful. He slams Ginzo up against a post. I also loved the Usopp moment. Again, there wasn't a ton of thought that went into his moment. He was just trying to he's just trying to be that guy. He desperately wants to be that guy. He, refers to himself as captain, but he's not ready to be captain. He shoots Arlong, but he's not ready to fight Arlong. And I thought it was very in character, but also admirable. I think there is a certain amount of respect that I would have for him just for trying that. But on the other side, I don't know. It was really dumb. He caused someone to get their house flipped. I'm sure their homeowner's insurance is not going to cover that. And yeah, I mean, I still thought it was a fun and exciting moment for Usopp. We haven't had a ton of those. You know, we picked him up in Syrup Village, and then he left the Baratier soon thereafter with Zoro. And I thought this was a really good moment for him. Whether it was ill-advised or not, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Right. I thought the scene with the house flip, the like long shot, showed the scale really well. Arlong is tiny compared to this house. Usopp is tiny on top of this house, and this is a rather large establishment here, a large building. And that was just a really well-drawn panel. I really appreciate the scale. And the egg shot was funny. He's trying his best. This is his arsenal. Luffy has rubber powers, Zoro has swords, Usopp has eggs, you know? He's making the best with what he has.
Exactly. You gotta work with what you have.
The final couple panels, you both touched on it, but that Zoro shot with the bodies laying around him was so good. He looks like he could take on the entire Arlong pirate crew at that point. and he shows himself to be...
He could take me too.
Yeah, a real first mate. You know, he says, like, there's all these bodies surrounding him. He's like, Luffy really wants that girl back. Like, he's not doing this for him, you know? He didn't kill all those fishermen because he wants to. He is respecting his captain's wishes.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in a first mate. And yeah, just to sum, I wrote here, this chapter kicks things off extraordinarily well. Some choice moments of Usopp and Zoro stand out as some of the characters' best yet, of some of Zoro and Usopp's best moments. It also mixes in some story beats that push the narrative along effectively. We're you know, seeing the threat that Arlong is, the grip that he has on this town. And I thought that it was a really good chapter. I really enjoyed this one. So, 73 will be V.
Yes. So, I don't know if I just, like, started paying attention again, but I took notice to the intro image story. Like, I might have missed something along the way, but I guess Buggy's back in one piece, and the babe is still with him? Unsure, but I noticed, I don't know. She's wearing a cowboy hat, and that reminds me of Alvida. But like,
right? I was having those vibes too. It's like maybe she said transformation.
Like I'm perplexed by those thoughts. But I'm going to wait and see the story unfold, I guess. But yeah, perplexing to say the least.
Buggy's got a girlfriend.
Who knows? Maybe Kobe calling her ugly and fat really hit her to her core.
Right? Exactly. she took that
myself.
seriously. Okay, so my very first comment upon starting chapter 73 was, I could have gone my whole life without seeing Hachi again, but here he is, and he's calling upon Momu? I was like, is this a cowfish?
Oh, how close you were.
Because I was like, I think, do I see horns? Anyway, I was thinking cow, and I was very intrigued by this presence from the below. Also, something that made me laugh. There's a shot of a roast of Momu loving roast pig, and just seeing the roast pig being perfectly round made me really chuckle. I don't know why, but I was like, this is funny.
It's a very comical pig.
Yes, I have very few moments of joy in this volume, so I hang on to them. I'll be honest.
Gotta get it where you can.
Exactly, and yeah, Zoro just being so perfect and so smart. Tricking Hachi while still being mostly honest with him was a big dick move. Like,
yes.
I love the self-assuredness that he kind of displays all the time, but I guess this is one of the few times where we see him kind of strategize, like in his, like be more brain and less brawn, if that makes sense. And I really appreciated that. I feel like his his characteristics and what I like about him shown in that moment as well. Yeah, and then, oh shit, here comes Momu. And I know he's meant to be huge and scary, but I just want to boop his snoot.
Yes.
I just wanted to go boop.
He is a little cutie.
He is a little cutie. Heavy combat beast is what they call him. And then, of course, Luffy would punch out the huge sea cow because it's after their food. Like, I don't think anything would faze Luffy, but when it comes to food, Luffy doesn't share. Sanji, on the other hand, is as eager as ever to feed a hungry creature, and I knew it would backfire. And sure enough, Momu got a bit too hungry, and Sanji wasn't about that. Cute little interaction. Honestly, I needed, with considering what's to come, this is very refreshing and just serves as the palate cleanser that we don't know that we need yet. If that makes sense. I did note something here on page 11. There's a word in French.
Yes.
Collier. As a note, Oda is sort of correct here in his definition of collier. Un collier is also a necklace, as in the jewelry. So basically referring to something that's going around the neck area. So in that case, him, going for the neck is appropriate. So he was pretty close as far as his definition.
What is coup? C-O-U-P.
It's just a hit. So it means like collier coup probably means like hit to the neck.
Oh, okay. He's very literal.
Yeah, very, very literal. And thus the kick right to the fucking neck makes sense. Which I really enjoyed. The drawing of that at page 12 was super dynamic. Yeah, and a very interesting perspective seeing Sanji with the kick being still quite small as compared to the creature that he is kicking, yet being still very, very effective. And then, we get Luffy and Yosaku being like completely amazed, and there's like this badass profile drawing of Sanji and the cigarette, and I was like, yes, this is a good page. I love this. Yeah, and then we get a little bit of, I don't want to call it wholesome, but kind of unexpectedly wholesome moment between Hachi and Zoro after he's helped him to the village. Similarly to Zoro, though, he still creeps the hell out of me, but I was like, Hachi doesn't know better, and Zoro's taking full advantage of that, but it was still like, aw, he's helping.
They're both kind of dumb. I could see them being friends in another universe.
Right? If Hachi wasn't so tentacly, maybe.
Some people are into that.
I'm gonna abstain. I'm gonna abstain from any comment here. Yeah, and I do also, in terms of storytelling, I like the irony of Zoro and Arlong / Usopp basically unknowingly trading places without seeing each other, like just barely missing each other. Really good storytelling. I also commented another funny looking fish man, but that fish man that has the kissy face that says Smek.
Smek?
With the heart. It reminds me of the Pokemon Love Disc.
I hate Love Disc.
I know, but doesn't he look exactly like him?
Yeah, I wonder if they're based off of the same fish or something.
Right? I was like, ugh.
I believe so. I think he's supposed to be a cuttlefish.
No, cuttlefishes are like squids.
Yeah, some other type of fish. But yeah, I was like, ew, this is Love Disc. Also, Love Disc is a...
Love Dick?
I caught myself before actually going through with it, Michael. No, you have to cut it out. Love Disc is a useless Pokemon. Let's just be honest. You could be picking literally any other water type and you'd be fine.
Magikarp.
Well,
no evolution,
least, yeah. Magikarp evolves into Gyarados, whereas Love Disc is literally useless. Anyway, I think that's about what I had. I was wondering at that point how Nami was going to wiggle her way out of this conundrum. I was innocent at the time. And I just finished by saying that I want Momu to stick around. I love him, and I would die for him. And I kind of want a plushie. I want a Momu plushie. Please and thank you. That would be great. Eventually we're going to get a P.O. box because we're going to get super popular. And then you guys are going to be able to send us some stuff. Anyway, that's what I have for 73. Dylan?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of good parts. I really enjoyed, like, Momu and all that, and you kind of get insight on it from Yasuka, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, close enough.
I forget his name. Yeah. It's not the one that's not Johnny. Because he's just like, what's that doing here? That shouldn't be in the East Blue. That's a Grand Line monster. That's kind of cool. Which leads you to the conclusion that Arlong has brought this from the Grand Line to help him secure his holdings in the East Blue.
He's doing animal trafficking on top of everything else?
That's where I draw the line. Yeah.
I also love, like, after he does the Gum Gum pistol, I love the panel directly underneath it, where you just, like, see the boat and you see Luffy's just, like, fist stretched out from it.
You guys remember the panel from Romance Dawn, the first volume, that is almost identical to that, where he's knocking one of those giant sea monsters in the exact same manner?
Yeah.
I think that's probably a callback. Yeah.
Well, like you said, V, it's hilarious that Sanji's just, like, automatically, like, giving it the benefit of the doubt. It's like, oh, it's just hungry, it's injured, it can't fend for itself. And then he feeds it and it tries to snap him up, and it's like, nope, that's it. I was trying to be nice, you fucked up.
I'll feed you, but not myself.
Don't bite the hand that feeds. And then I love, like, because you get the page where just the Collier Coupe, and the page after that, you get to see, like, you might have mentioned, like, the silhouette where he's, like, midair, like, you see him kind of, like, just a little speck midair with the kick, and Momu going flying. That's like, that was, I love that panel, that's great. I kind of wish that was a full page panel. That would have been great for a full page panel, but, you know, this is, I assume drawing this is very hard. I understand why he didn't.
No, you could do this.
And then, like, the second afterwards, I love the fact that they're like, all right, yeah, the monster take care. All right, let's eat. And, like, Yasuka's just like, man, these guys are crazy. And, like, immediately after that, they're like, Yoshiko, tea now. And he's like, all right, fine, shit. And, like you said, it is hilarious. He gets him back to,
Coco.
Gets him back to Cocoa Village, and it's just like, just seems to be like just a genuine nice dude when he's not aware that you're an enemy to his leader.
Yeah.
Great panel when Arlong's getting back and seeing all of his defeated men screaming out. And this also made me think of mine. It's like, yeah, superior race, my ass. They just got wiped by one dude. So
he's not just any dude.
Zoro.
Yeah, and of course, Usopp got caught.
Yeah, well, no one saw that coming. Right?
I'm surprised they didn't kill him on the spot.
And it's funny, like, when the one's like, I want to cut his throat, it would cheer you up, and it's like, in the mood I'm in, I don't know. And then Usopp's like, oh, right then, I'll just be on my way. Yeah. It's like, all right, take care. And then there's the one guy who seems to kind of, like, who's been kind of, like, suspicious of Nami the whole time. I've kind of been getting he sees it, it's like, how'd he get loose? Maybe Nami brought him here. So he seems to be the only one who's kind of like, yeah, it seems a little more insightful than the rest.
Only one actually thinking about this.
Yeah. And of course, she comes out, and she's like, oh, I got this tattoo and everything. How dare you? And Arlong's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I should have never doubted you. And then the scene where it's like he's got the knife to Usopp's throat, and he's like calling out for help and seeing Nami's face, and then it cuts away, and it's just like, oh, is she going to give herself up? Like, what happens here? And the hilarity of freaking Solo getting to Cocoa Village is like, oh, where is he? It's like, oh, he just got captured. They went back. It's like, of course. And then I love the fact that they've tied ropes to Momu. Using him to sail him back in. I will admit, like, in the beginning, when you see octopus guy out there just fit, I don't know, I really enjoyed that. Just the simplicity of the guys just sitting there cooking, just, you know, like, relaxing, having a good time, fishing.
Yeah, he's just
a guy.
He's just living his octopus life, much to V's chagrin.
I know.
Yeah. Out of all of them so far, it's like, he seems like if they weren't around, he was just there, he would probably get along with people.
Right.
If he wasn't part of Arlong's crew and he was just there in Cocoa Village, people would probably like him. But yeah, that's all I really got for this chapter.
He'd be the weird guy in town.
It's like he's weird, but people, it's charming in a way.
He is kind of charming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all I really got for 73, though.
So I had quite a bit for 73. It opens with Zoro still chilling in Arlong's fucking chair. And, you know, he gets up, he hears Hachi tooting his little mouth horn. So he gets up to see what's going on. And with all the bodies around him, in my head, the song Let the Bodies Hit the Floor by Drowning Pool was playing. As he's just like, I don't know, walking through the pile of bodies he's created. Like, it's so casual after what he just did. Yes, exactly. It's like he just massacred, like, the amount of bodies I saw was not an insignificant amount. And he's just walking so casually.
Like at least a dozen, right?
Yeah. At least a dozen.
Yeah.
And when he gets over there, I like that he pops his little head over the fence. He says, "What's with the trumpet?" Like that's what you're gonna say after what you've just done. He's just like, "Hey, what's going on over here?" He doesn't come swords out or nothing like that. And Hachi is just, he's dumb as hell. He takes Zoro at face value, a human. And yeah, I loved this scene. I just thought it was so fun. And while you guys mentioned that Zoro was being kind of strategic here, I think he was just vibing.
Just being genuine.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it was a bit of both.
Yeah, right.
I feel like he was like, I'll just go, like he's strategizing, but I'm just gonna go along with it, not offering much in the way of resistance
once he gives him an out, it's like, yeah, we'll go with that.
Like he has a goal here, but he's not like being malicious or mean about it. So that's what I think.
I'm Arlong's guest, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
When Momu shows up, we get back to Luffy, which is always fun. Momu shows up, and at first they're like, sea monster. And Luffy takes not a moment to go ahead and introduce himself with a gum pistol. And I loved there was an onomatopoeia right when Momu shows up where it's just sniff, sniff. He's just checking him out. He's trying to see what's going on. Like, he knows that there's roast pig waiting for him, but he wants to see what they've got going on. I thought that was kind of cute. I thought that was
just
very...
a hungry boy.
Yeah, he just wants a little bit of nom-noms.
He's just a little guy.
And Luffy
like
took that personally.
With the fajitas. It's like, ooh.
Yes. Oh my, Dylan, I went to Mexican the other day and I heard the sizzle and I was like, I should have gotten fajitas.
That's like a Pavlovian response. When you hear the sizzle, you just start drooling and you're like, oh man, I should have gotten that.
Yeah, I never do. I always get the, tacos with the corn, but
yeah, same. But I always
tortilla.
kind of regret not getting the sizzling fajitas.
I'm a nacho man myself.
You would be. And I thought...
What's that supposed to be?
Listen, Dylan, I'm just saying that nachos at a Mexican restaurant is their equivalent of chicken tendies.
You have a nacho man face.
Nacho man Dylan Savage.
It's not an insult. I promise. You look like you would go for the nachos.
Makes it seem like it is.
Nacho man. But
anyway,
is that a Super Bowl ad?
Maybe. But Sanji's empathy was really striking. It was very in character, but I still thought it was sweet and interesting. And then he's threatened and the game is on. He's no longer having fun trying to feed people. There's also a single frame where Sanji kicks both Yosuke and Luffy at the same time somehow.
Like kicks their eyes out of socket a bit, essentially.
Yes, exactly. He must have jumped up into the air and did some kind of WWE stuff. Nacho Man Sanji over here.
Your mustache is crooked. Yeah.
And I think we see one of Sanji's first signature moves that he pulls out, the Koyeku.
Yeah. I'm just imagining Sanji as like an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
I can imagine
Sanji from the top rope.
In the octagon.
He's definitely got if he is Anderson Silva vibes.
You take one kick from him. Not you, per se. You probably wouldn't even need to.
No.
You just swoon out.
It's like, can you cook me something instead?
Yeah. Why are we fighting?
Have dinner?
I also liked how Sanji kept calling it a hippo. It's clearly not a hippo, right?
If it's a hippo and it hesitated, would have just gone for your ass immediately.
Right.
Those things are mean.
Like, has he never seen a hippo? Does he not know what a hippo looks like?
They're the cows of the sea.
I mean, that's true, but they do look different.
They do look different. That is true. Love the scene when Arlong gets back. I thought that was really interesting moment for such a cruel man to bend over and hold one of his crewmates. Again, it's relatively subtle, but I think it maybe strikes as someone who kind of cares about his crew. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. It is a simple gesture, but I thought it was cool. He is pissed. He sees this and Usopp's here and he doesn't even know if he wants to kill Usopp right now because he's so
not
frazzled.
In the mood.
Yeah.
Like, it won't make me happy. I'm angry.
Yeah. And again, this is kind of echoing what I think V said, how there's a lot of movement in this chapter. It starts off with Zoro in Arlong, but he came to Arlong, looking for Nami, and then he left looking for Usopp. Usopp came because he got captured. We will see Usopp leaves, and it's just a lot of movement that we haven't seen.
A lot of back and forth between locations, yeah.
Like, Syrup Village had a little bit of movement where they were moving between two beaches, but, like...
Two identical beaches.
It was still fairly linear in that they were at one beach and then they went to the other beach and we didn't
the other identical beach.
Much. Yeah, we didn't do much in the way of back and forth.
And same with Baratier.
Yeah. Whereas there is a lot of back and forth between locations.
And they're all alone, kind of. And you get to see kind of a dynamic vibe where their personalities are showing. They're doing things their way.
Yeah.
There's no one there to influence them. And I just thought it was just a really cool dynamic to have them moving around and doing their own thing. And
it serves a purpose in the storytelling also. Like, it helps drive the plot.
Yeah, and it's fun. It drives the plot in a fun way. Also, Nami seeing Usopp here now, and Zoro's gone, and there's dead bodies he left behind. Like, they're not making Nami's job easy. She's got to be real frustrated at this point. Like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into kind of frustration. And then I wrote facepalm with Luffy and the crew having tied up the sea cow for their own purposes. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, just in sum, another excellent chapter. I thought it really picked up what the previous chapter started and kept it moving in a really dynamic way. Seeing everyone on their own, helping set up these intense encounters that we've seen and will continue to see. Arlong is given a little bit of time to breathe as a villain. Again, not just this one. I think this one may be a little less than the last one, but I feel like already I know him a little bit more than I knew Krieg, for example.
He's more fleshed out. I would agree.
Yes. Yeah, just some of the best setup we've seen. Like, at this point, I'm invested. I'm turning pages at a rate that is just fast. Love it. Loved 73. Looking forward to what Dylan has to say about 74. Smek.
Yeah. Yeah, out of all the fish people, I think Smek Boy is the one I like the least. He's the most... It's like, ugh.
Are you going to kiss me or fight me?
And then, like, all right, well, with 74, we open up to pretty much Arlong bragging about how badass he is. He's got the biggest bounty in the East Blue. And he's pretty much trying to be like, all right, where's Zolo? Like... You're here, he's here. It's something that's too convenient. You got to be connected somehow. And Usopp's like, I don't know anything. Just let me go. They're basically just like, no, it's too late. You have to be here for his head. It's the only thing that makes sense. And there's no getting away now. And I love even the crew is like, wow, that's an impressive flip flop. Because it's like, well, no, Zolo's my friend. If you hurt me, he's gonna come kill you all. And immediately backfires again because Arlong's like, oh, so if I kill you, he'll come. Okay, cool. And they're like, wait, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Please.
Actually,
yeah, if you keep me alive, then Zolo will come to save me. And then, again, I guess Rayman, still sus Nami.
Karubi.
He's like, oh, you gone pale. What's the deal? At this point, Usopp's getting pretty pissed. He's calling her out. He's like, you're disgusting. You're a witch. Luffy's a fool. Even after you fled, he still believed in you. Which, really powerful line. I think she doesn't show anything. But from what I've seen of Nami, I have a feeling that kind of like cut her to her core a bit.
I would disagree, Dylan. I think that, well, maybe it did, but I don't think it's shown that way. I think she's really good at putting on the face.
Like, she's not showing anything, but it's like from what I know of her character, and what I've seen of her, it's that's something that probably hit her pretty hard. She doesn't show it, but I think that's something that kind of probably upset her pretty well.
I think she's more sentimental than she likes to show, for sure. And we kind of see that through this volume with reason. Yeah, I would agree with you that I think it did hurt her somewhere deep inside, but I don't think she likes that it got to her. And again, we're going to explore more of that trait later on in the volume.
Yeah. I love it. You see Splash Splash, Hachi makes it back. I was like, hey, it's like, oh, you're back. What's going on? What happened here? Why is everybody dead? I'm like, oh, Pirate Hunter came and killed everybody. It's like, oh, if I'd seen him, I'd scupper that. And it's like, you didn't see him?
Actually.
It's just a swordsman guy. It's like, where's the sash? And he's like, wait, that was him? It's like, you idiot. And then it's like, I took him over to Coco. I thought that's where you were. He said he wanted to meet you. And then Arlong's being pretty smart. He's like, all right, in that case, it's like, I'm not going to scramble or anything. He's going to come back. So I'll just wait. I guess Nami's trying to save face again, so apparently she keeps that collapsible bow staff in her bosom. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, but couldn't think of it. She got warmed up with that kid earlier with a little bit of around invigorating child abuse, and now she whacks the shit out of fucking Usopp.
We do not condone child abuse here.
Well, I don't know. Before I, wake up in the morning, get my day started, just pop, pop, pop.
Don't listen to them, please.
Kid back says, "Say you're cruising for a child abuse."
Please don't cancel it. We only just started.
And then at this point, she got to get to the fight, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, with Usopp.
Yeah, with Usopp, and she. I mean, it looks like. I mean, Usopp's doing like smoke bomb shit, and I think he's trying to run away, but nah, Nami doesn't fall for it, and she
knows him.
She fucking looks like stabs him in the liver. And then, just falls in the water, and it's just like, and then, I believe Johnny, he sees it, because I'm pretty sure that's Johnny.
He's just peeking, yeah.
Yeah, he's peeking through the fence, and it's, oh my god, she killed him. How could she? Kicks the body in the water, and it's like, all right. It's like, oh man, you're heartless. It's like, I have one purpose. That's to get these berries so I can buy the village back from you. It's just business. Apparently, Rayman has been snooping. And it's like, oh, there's an X on the map. Mark's near you have a treasure map. And
the fuck does this mean?
Is not happy about that. And then I was like, no, give it back. Should have never done that. You get a line, okay, pretty cool line from Arlong that I like. It's like, of course not. I'd slip my belly before I'd break a promise. That's the kind
I thought that was a good line too.
And that also makes you think of like seppuku or Harry Carey.
Yes,
it's like if you've ever been dishonored, like a ritual cleansing, ritual suicide.
What a terrible way to go.
Yeah.
To the stomach.
Yeah.
And the fact that like the guys who did it like showed like didn't make a peep.
Not a fun fact whatsoever, but sort of an interesting fact. There's a pretty
not
well-known...
like Dylan's panda fact.
No. There's a pretty well-known figure in French Canada, or in Quebec specifically. He was the lead singer of a band, and he died by suicide. But he offed himself by harakiri. Because he was really into Japanese culture and like the sense of dishonor. And all
he's
that.
a
and,
weeb.
He was a really cool weeb, though.
Le weeb.
But anyway,
weeb.
Really, really tragic story. But that's how he actually like committed suicide. Like,
I just had a thought. We weeb.
Oh no, Michael. We weeb. Anyway,
man. We cut Momu's he's a huffing and puffing and shake. It's like they're putting the spurs to him.
They are abusing that animal.
Yeah, they're putting the spurs to him like hell. And
we also do not condone animal abuse.
No. And the thing is that this thing doesn't have brakes. It's like to the left.
Did they say that?
Wait, stop! We're gonna crash into the building. And then it's like all of them are screaming, and then you hear crash. You see Zolo doing the anime ninja run.
Yeah, this came before Naruto.
And just hear a loud crash. And he's like, whoa, what was that? And I love that just because, it's hilarious. Failing a task successfully, as he does. And I love that the SBS is Boodle the Poodle and the dog and the pup is the artwork for it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look at the top of it.
I really, really like his like diagram of how Flintlock works.
I have a note about this in my stuff. Go ahead.
My note has Dylan's name next to it.
Because the guy was like, they don't look like matchlocks, where the way a matchlock works is you have a burning piece of rope tied to the hammer that hits the flashpan. Whereas flintlock is a chunk of flint that hits steel and causes the spark of the flashpan. And I think he also says the point, it's like, hey, it's like, they take forever to reload, so a lot of famous pirates would carry like 5 or 6 of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it's like, but he's like, there are, in the One Piece universe, some have been modified to shoot repeatedly, which after that, I was like, I want to see those. I want to see what they look like and how they work.
I think Krieg probably had some kind of mechanism like that.
Right?
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then, again, it shows the amount of research he puts in the shit he's doing. And that's something I really appreciate.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's all I got.
Veron.
Hi. I also never say that again. Never say it like that again.
Okay. Any particular reason why? Is it just weird?
It is.
Okay.
So, my first note here was, I thought it was very ironic that Arlong would say that Zoro slaughtering his men was underhanded and rude when
Yeah,
he's
right.
he's out
That's a
there
good point,
just terrorizing villages and killing people left, right, and center and like making them pay up. Like, okay, look who's talking, Arlong.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, you know, something about people in glass houses. Anyway, yeah, and also, so we do have a lot of really and so far in this arc and upcoming, we have a lot of really interesting Nami developments. And at this point, I was thinking to myself that I can understand Nami's conundrum, but I feel like soon enough she's going to have to pick a lane. Mm-hmm. I feel like straddling the line like she is right now is not sustainable, and eventually something's going to have to give. And I want to believe, and still do very much, and I think that kind of happens throughout the rest of this volume, that she does want to join the Straw Hats, but she does also indeed believe in money. And I think, considering what we're going to find out, this is important to her for a reason that maybe we did not foresee or were not aware of previously. And I think that helps in putting things into perspective, but she still will value that goal more than perhaps other things that otherwise, if she didn't have that debt, she would maybe consider more important. But at this point in the story, that is her focus. That's those were my thoughts so far on Nami. Just also, speaking of art and storytelling, the sequence at pages 12 and 13 where Nami beats the shit out of Usopp and stabs him was super dynamic and well drawn. We have some really interesting perspectives in the way that things are drawn. The movement is beautifully illustrated, and it comes across as very impactful and as something that is, how can I put this? I mean, if we find out what actually happens a little bit later on, but it holds a lot of significance, I feel, that whole scene, even in retrospect. And when she says, "die quietly," I was like, that is a badass bitch move, honestly.
She may have been, like, telling him, like, hey, do this with me.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. In retrospect, it makes even more sense. But even just in context, the way we see it now, it's still a badass bitch move.
Yeah.
You know?
100% agree.
Like, great quote, honestly. And in my notes I had here, I have the feeling she will have avoided any fatal strikes on purpose, but we'll see. And I wasn't wrong, but I also wasn't exactly right. And yeah, I was also thinking with that interaction later on with Arlong's folks. On one hand, Nami's very transparent with her intent, like clearly stating that it's just business and she wants to buy back the village. But at the same time, she has so many secrets with the Straw Hats, and she doesn't let people in. It's like she's fully honest and open with the people that she owes something to before the people that actually try to get to know her and that actually appreciates her. She has this wall that's built up and that she will not let people in. And I have a feeling that by the end of this arc, this might change. I feel like it's the way this volume kind of unfolds exposes everything that has, well, maybe not everything, but a lot of what fuels Nami's actions. And I feel like maybe she will not be putting up as thick of a wall or as high a barrier as she does up until this point, but that is just speculation. Anyway, just very, very interesting character development here. Speaking of secrets, I had a note here. I had something about the map. I was thinking that the map situation was a little sus. Like, seeing her grasp at it and then the other people having mentioned it earlier, I think. That's the scene basically where she takes the map back. Like, I knew something was up with this map. And sure enough, we're going to see that happen a little later on. But there's something very important written on that piece of paper. And I knew at the time and know now that this does come into play in a very, very significant way later on. I also really enjoyed the way that the chapter ends. They're all converging on Arlen Pak. The crew's going to be reunited soon. Like, it's just, this is the beginning of how things are going to pick up for the rest of this volume. And my note for the SBS was, my favorite thing about this SBS is that I know Dylan is going to go full gun nerd on us.
Yeah.
And sure enough, He did. I
Hey,
knew
it's
it.
cool,
Freaking
right?
called it. It
It
is
is cool.
But what I like is that I know you well enough now to know that these things are going to happen.
Dylan, I appreciate your passions.
Yes, me too. Actually, always appreciate
Smack.
always appreciate him laying the knowledge on us.
Another fun fact about panda.
It was a sad fact about pandas.
Yeah.
That's
Fun
sad. You know,
fact.
gerbils will eat their own children.
I need to go hug a panda now.
Right?
Anyway, Michael?
Yeah, so I don't think I have a whole lot novel here to add. My notes on this one were pretty short. I thought that Usopp's flip-flopping was hilarious, like Dylan said.
Classic
Him,
Usopp.
like, I don't know him. No, I know him.
Oh, wait, you're going to kill me? No, never mind. If you keep me alive, we'll come.
What do you want to hear? Because
Yeah,
I will
but-
tell you exactly what you want to hear.
Anything. Name it.
What will keep me alive?
As despicable as she's acting, which we obviously in retrospect we know why, but I still felt for Nami. You know, like her friends are really putting her in a tough situation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you know, future events will say that she is acting incorrectly and she should, you know, give up some of the control that she needs to have. She's someone who clearly cannot, you know, give up that control. She needs to be in charge. And I thought Usopp versus Nami was cool. It was very one-sided. I kind of
Beat his
thought
ass.
that I kind of, like, looking back, I kind of thought that it would be. I think that Nami is tougher than Usopp. I think
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, I think her cojones are bigger, and even despite his arsenal that he keeps on him, his Batman-esque stuff, I think that she uses the knowledge of his arsenal to her advantage, and I just thought that was kind of cool to see. You know, she knows how to handle this guy. Mm-hmm. And compared to how Zoro got off, like, Zoro is rescued after being, like, pushed into, or he jumps into the water and then he's locked up. But Zoro got off easy. Like, Usopp got stabbed, quote unquote,
Yeah.
little quotes here, and then kicked into the water. And I also noted Flintlock / Dylan. That's literally what I wrote for the SBS. Because, listen, when you know him, you know.
It's not that he's predictable. It's just that we know him really well. That's all.
Yeah. And again, Dylan, don't take this. Don't get defensive. We love everything about you.
This comes from a place of love.
Yeah. And my last note was, here comes the rest of the goofs as Luffy and Sanji and Johnny are flying in, or Yosaku is flying in. They are interchangeable. It doesn't matter if you guys say Johnny or
Or Yosaku. These
they're the same
guys.
character.
It's Johnny and not Johnny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny and the other guy. Sorry,
And-
Yosaku.
So I said that this chapter was good. I didn't think there were any jaw-dropping moments. Nami stabbing Usopp was
It's pretty intense.
close to that. It was an intense moment, but the relationship between Nami and Arlong and his pirates has continued to develop. The Usopp murder, quote-unquote, stabbing, as we will see, I thought kind of pushed the limits of, I use this word again, I used it last episode, credulity, because, spoiler alert, she stabs her hand. We find that in the next chapter, or maybe the chapter after. Listen, this is all the same episode. It's not a spoiler. And, you know, like, as soon as she pulls her hand away, they're going to be like, why'd you stab your hand too? You stupid bitch. You stupid bitch. Another one. As, again, we will see, I think that Arlong has been keeping tally of this, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's
I
not
don't
dumb.
He's not noticing it. Like when Zoro escaped, you know, we were talking about how did that kind of get past, and I think his
didn't.
vengeance is reserved for later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I had for 74. 75 is V.
Yes, it is. I kind of chuckled at the very opening of the chapter where there's this guy that's like, I hear a loud noise coming from the port. Yeah, a giant sea cow just crashed in the shore. That would be the noise that you hear. Yeah, and then we have this moment of they just reunite in the best way possible with the little ship flying right into Zoro, and then the crew's all back together again.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, Zoro, brother,
Hey, Luffy."
like, Meanwhile, he gets hit by the boat.
I love that Yosuku's like, brother!
They're such bros. Yeah, and then another, we've seen this a few times in Oda's work thus far, but I really enjoyed the mid part of page 7 where you have, again, the 4-piece panel with, like, you see every single character involved in the look of surprise on their faces after which one's that one? Yosuku?
That is Yosuku, yes.
Yeah, when Yosuku tells them that Usopp's been killed, just seeing the 4 different panels with the shots of their faces, I thought was an interesting art choice, which I really enjoy. And then what I like also with regards to that is that they all have a look of surprise on their face, but to different extents or expressed in a distinctive way. And I like that attention is put on each character individually, so we can sort of see with a little bit more detail what they're thinking about this situation. So I had a thought, and then I'm so naive. Okay, I'll just tell you what my thought was in my notes. I wrote, "Oh shit, the Marines are back. I'm hoping they have more integrity than Axe-Hand Morgan's guys."
They did.
Well,
they technically did.
Maybe they did, but I have...
They were trying.
They weren't that guy.
They're just, yeah. Anyway, I have distrust of the government entities in this universe. In
general. Come on, let's not act like it's...
In general, but yeah.
They already know you feel that way, don't worry.
Corruption stinks, guys. Exactly.
Uh-oh, stinky.
Yeah, also, another really good art choice, the bottom panel in page 10 where you see Arlong just chomping down on the cannonball. It's like I could hear it crack. It made me physically cringe. Like, and it's funny because...
Like nails on a chalkboard cringe?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's like dental trauma shit. It's like...
And that's the thing is, I recently chipped my tooth. It has yet to be repaired because it's going to be more complicated.
What'd you chip it on?
A cracker. I was eating cheese and crackers, and then it was one of those like artisanal crackers with like the nut pieces in them and all that, and I was chewing on it, and I'm like, wait, this is too hard to be. This is not a cracker. And sure enough, I spit it out, and anyway. So they're going to need to remove that tooth.
Aww.
Anyway, it's fine. But as someone who recently chipped her tooth, that was a very visceral reaction. Once again, I was like, oh, no, please. Don't do this to me, my poor mouth.
If I may, just to pop in with the dental trauma stuff.
Yeah, by the way, listeners, if anyone here has dental trauma stories they want to tell, please leave it. Leave it in the comments. Please let us know.
I'm not going to read that comment.
I will read it.
Or I'm going to read it and not be happy about it.
It wasn't me, but I was playing fucking mini golf with my dad when I was a child. And for whatever reason, I'm rearing the club back to smack this ball. Because you don't play mini golf like that. Hit him right in the mouth and break a tooth. And I feel bad about it to this day. Anyway, Fee, continue. Yes. I just had to get that out.
No, it's okay. Listen, everyone's got a story. Yeah, and then we see a little bit more of the character design for Karubi and Chu, and we also have a description of what they are based off of. So I thought it was interesting to see sort of the clarification that Karubi is a ray fishman and Chu is a kisser fishman. So yeah, and yeah, as much as the character designs for both of them are off-putting, they still don't creep me out like Hachi does, if we're being honest. Especially just seeing them all side by side. Hachi's just absolutely fucking terrifying. And yeah, we also get a really interesting like fighting sequence or like fight strategy. Arlong's men definitely have terrain advantage on the water, and that is bad news for the Marines. And you would think that the Marines would be equipped to deal with that, but creating a maelstrom? Maelstrom? I don't know how you pronounce that word in English. Anyway, I thought that was genius in terms of strategy and also to sort of play up on that advantage that they would have on the water. I also found it interesting that Hachi would mention that they actually use the maps that Nami makes. I think that kind of goes to show how talented she actually is and that her wits are something to be reckoned with. We also have another really good moment just at the very, very end of this chapter with the look of anger and disbelief on Luffy's face. It makes me, it's very evocative of a lot of emotions. I think, like I said, I like aggro Luffy in general, but I think this specific instance makes me sad a little bit because I feel like he puts his full trust in his crew, even though he doesn't know them all that well when they first join him. And you can tell that he's actually hurt that his trust is potentially being broken. And so far it seems like he's been, and again, I think we sort of get a little bit of nuance there as the volume continues, but he's a fairly good judge of character, but I think the idea that he might have been wrong about someone upsets him greatly.
I get that.
Because he does sincerely believe that these people are his friends and that they're going on this adventure together and have similar enough goals to be able to venture together and to rely on each other for support and survival, even. And to have that be potentially threatened or untrue or proven wrong, I think is really... He doesn't take it very well. And I understand. That being said, he does have a tendency to put his trust a little blindly in people, because I don't know that he has the most forethought of the characters in the story, but I do appreciate this childlike innocence about him. So yeah, just seeing that the way that he's drawn there was very powerful to me. And I have a little note on the SBS here. As a wine aficionada, I really appreciated that the SBS talks about Lieutenant Fullbody and how it's inspired by wine. I was like, oh, heck yeah.
And there's the guy who doesn't know his wine. Ironic.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to have a glass of wine a little bit later on while we continue this recording. Who knows? But, yeah, that is what I had. Yeah, Dylan, 75.
Okie doke. Yeah, it's kind of, I like the goofiness of them literally running into Zolo. I love the panel where it's the ship just midair. And it's like, wow, we're flying. I was like, no, we've been sent.
No, we're falling.
Yeah, we've been sent. Yeah, it's like, no, we're falling, and it just made me think it's like falling with style.
Yes, Toy Story.
And yeah, again, the speed they're going and the fact that Zolo got hit directly by a ship that probably weighs a couple tons and all he's got is a bit of like a little boo-boo on his head. It's like, what is this guy's deal? Like, a human shouldn't be able to take this kind of punishment and keep on going. And then we get the big reveal from not Johnny.
Yosuke.
Yeah. It's like, oh, who's supposed to be good? And I like you mentioned, like, everyone's reaction and the fact that Sanji's just like, like, Sanji's look, like, the look on Sanji's is kind of like, wait, which one was Usopp again?
Yeah.
Right, and that's what I mean when I was talking about how they feel it all to a different extent. I think it shows that Sanji maybe isn't as familiar with the crew as the others.
And Zoro's maybe a little bit more angry.
Yeah, Zoro looks pissed. Luffy and Johnny look absolutely shocked. And Sanji's just like, wait, which one was that again? And then they come see the crater that Mumo has made, and then you see the Navy ship out on the horizon. And the little kid's like, oh, they're here to save us. They got a message to the government. We're going to be fine. As it tends to be, especially with the older militaries and navies of the time, that the people in charge don't really think about their task so much as, like, what glory can they win for themselves? What badges can they earn? Yeah. And that's exactly what I take from this. It's like, oh, is they're going to honor? Going to let them just, like, stay here, leave them attack? I know we're supposed to pick up these civilians, but we're not going to let these pirates sit here. And then...
Yeah, that's a great point, Dylan.
And then he chews up, like after he chews up the freaking cannonball, they're like, wow, what chompers he's got. And like the whole, because before this happens, like, all right, well, they're coming. It's like, you know, let's see it. Let's give them their cut. Let's parlay with them. And then the Ray guy's like, the parlay is like, never mind. And the cut of that, like that panel right there is super, super awesome. I like that a lot.
They're like, let's shoot another.
Well, it's I don't know. There's just something about it. It's just like, that panel to me really makes like, yeah, don't fuck with Arlong. That panel really says that to me.
Yeah.
And then you see the 3 officers go out and then, being smart, putting holes below the waterline, taking out the rudder. And I like how, like I was saying earlier, the guy was just like, oh, you know what? It's like, if I can get him to surrender to me, I'm going to be so much. I'm Commodore, purr, and the dude just fucking shoots him. It's like, don't care. And they're like, oh my god, he shot the Commodore. And also interesting where it's like, yeah, if you put these obstacles in a strong current, it is going to create, they call it a maelstrom. But there are places in the world where it's like when the tide goes in and out, these really strong current pools are made every time. And it's one of those things, especially since you can't steer, it's like if you get sucked into it, it will rip your ship to pieces. So I like that. That was fun. And I like how when they come back, they're like, oh, just I hope it wasn't too much trouble. It's like, dude, that's easy. That's a warm-up. It's child's play to us. And a more like really purveying to the strength of his crew, where it's just like, this is just 3 of his offers. What would it look like if the whole crew like went out and brawled? What would that be like?
Like an army of them.
Yeah.
It'd be a massacre.
Yeah.
I mean, it already was.
Yeah.
But it's like he could take on like, oh, that was one ship. What if fleet shows up? Do they need the whole crew, or is it just more like the under officers, your non-commissions? And I love the panel when it's just like, Luffy is arguing. It's like, no, that would never happen. She wouldn't do that. She's our shipmate. Just the anger in that is just amazing. One of the more striking panels we've seen so far, I think.
Yeah.
And then you get this, as we cut away, you just see some feet and some sandals. It's like, Nami, who's your shipmate, Luffy? It's like, oof, good cliffhanger. And then at the SBS, I love the SBS where it's like, where was Chin hiding that weapon? Was it down there? And he's like, are you serious? Like, really? No, it's not his penis.
Yeah.
God. And it's just, I love the ones where it's like, he's like, you know what? I'm going to acknowledge it so I can just be like, stop. Don't do that.
Well, you gotta think that the target audience for One Piece, or at least at the beginning of it, was teenage boys, right? It is a shonen manga, so you would have silly little comments like that. It is to be expected.
I like how it's like, Gin fans are going to be real mad at you, and he's popular. But that's all I got for that chapter. Mikhail?
All right, chapter 75. The cover story, I don't know if you noticed, but it says final chapter of the Buggy story. And it just shows him just hanging out with his new crew, the babe in tow. Buggy has a new girlfriend, like I was saying. My first note was poor Momu.
Aww.
They abused that animal, and maybe he was an aggressive, nasty beast. But
No.
like I wouldn't advocate for like abusing lions and stuff that would kill me, unless they're trying to kill me. And I guess he was, but they're tying him up and using him as a labor animal. There's a word for it. And he's crying the whole time. I'm pretty sure there are tears in Momu's eyes during some of this, at least.
Hashtag justice for Momu.
Yeah.
My whole time when I saw him was like, imagine the size of the filet mignons and get on that.
Oh my God, Dylan, that's a great point.
I mean, yes, also, but while the beast is alive, you might as well offer it a good life, right? Like,
That's a fair point.
In my opinion,
However,
you can taste the suffering, and it's oh so delicious.
shut up, Dylan.
You had veal?
have you ever had,
I have had veal.
what's the Japanese steak?
Oh, no. I wish.
Wagyu?
Yeah, Wagyu. Apparently they treat those cows very well. I don't know.
have not.
Anyway, I've
I'm not
never
rich
had it
enough for
either.
Wagyu.
Well, they have American Wagyu. I think Wagyu's more
I'm middle class. I can't afford Wagyu.
But it's like Champagne. If it's not from the Champagne region, is
Right.
it really? I loved that they landed directly into Zoro. Again, it's a very silly comic way for everything to happen. It's probably not how things would happen in a reality situation, but maybe. You know, sometimes life is stranger than fiction. I still thought it was fun that they just kind of crash into each other. Luffy, Zoro, brother. What an entrance is what I wrote. And I also wrote, you see the Marines doing their job legitimately. And I think that's the first time that we've seen Marines be... Dylan pointed out that they are very interested in glory, but at least they're there to do their task and help people, you know?
They're not the worst.
Well, that's the
iteration
captain
of,
is the one who's guilty of that.
of the
men.
Marines we've seen thus far.
I think it shows a side of the Marines and the Navy that we haven't really seen yet, because they're, you know, we've seen the bad side of it. And maybe during Romance Dawn when, what's his name? Iron Fist Morgan, Axe Hand Morgan was disposed, his people were excited that he was gone. So they may have been good people. I don't know. I liked Arlong's chomp, and I also liked seeing the 3 officers just go to town on that ship. They really tore it apart. They were going for all the key parts. They knew exactly what to do. They were in sync. I liked Chew's little kissy boy. I liked his little water gun. It was very Pokemon-esque. Like, that's how I imagine Squirtle's water gun is. It just, like, you see blood flying out of that guy from being hit from a water blast.
I think if it's under enough pressure, like a water pressure could rip the skin off your...
and it did. It went right through them, I think.
Power washer. Yeah, power washer ripped the skin off your body.
And I think one of the more powerful scenes from this chapter was the people on shore expecting to be saved, seeing the ship sink in front of their very eyes.
And that line. It's like, now you see, no one can escape from Arlong's control.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty intense having them be audience to that. And like so there's 3 officers there. 2 of the 3 are underwater tearing this apart. All they really see is Chew jumping on deck and the ship sinks. That's pretty powerful imagery for people who are hoping to be saved. And yeah, I didn't have a lot. So in sum, I thought the whole point of this chapter was to show the strength of Arlong's officers. And it does so in a cool way. I thought that the little scene where they're all just tearing the ship apart was well done. It definitely made its point. And the villagers' hope and loss of hope is a good tool to frame that kind of idea. Nothing mind-blowing here again. And it doesn't have to be. Like, we're about to get some mind-blowing chapters coming up. So...
Oh, you mean heartbreaking?
Yeah, something like that. And then chapter 76 is Dylan.
I do love the cover art where it's these weird owls and Luffy's like perfectly mimicking...
Weird Al Yankovic?
Maybe. No, it's not Weird Al.
Oh, God. Leave now. Can we... I'm going to Google, can we kick the host out of his own podcast?
What do you got against Weird Al Yankovic?
It's a dumb joke,
no, I
Dylan.
have nothing... exactly. I love Weird Al.
It's Michael she has a problem with.
Exactly.
But we pick up where we left off, and Nami's kind of confronting the crew. And Luffy's just like still like giving her the benefit of that. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, you're a shipmate. We're here to get you. And she's like, oh, how annoying. It's like, you guys are just a bunch of pathetic misfits. It's like, damn. Ow. But you're one of our misfits. Fucking me and Michael have kind of talked about Sanji a bit, where he's got like some neck beardish tendencies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, Nami, it's me. Hey, you remember me? Yeah. It's like, oh, God. And fucking Zolo is like, stay out of this, you'll complicate the story. And it's like, so love is always a hurricane. Like, oh, my God. Yosuke? Yeah, it's just not completely.
Yosuke has the headband on.
Oh, never mind, Johnny.
Oh,
gosh, who knows?
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
He's just not about, and he's completely calling her out. So you're a witch. It's like all you did was stick around to just steal treasure from us, rotten from the start. You made fools of us all, and you stabbed one of our own to death before my own eyes. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. What, you want to kill me too? She starts to explain, it's like, now Arlong's out to kill you guys because, you had to get involved. It'd be stupid. You couldn't just leave well enough alone. And it's like, it's like you might be strong, but you're nowhere near strong enough to deal with Arlong. And Zolo's just like, don't care. Where's Usopp? It looks like he's, from the look on it, getting ready to, like, attack her because he screams, cut the crap, and then Sanji interferes and, like, tries to kick him. So
Dylan, I think you're right. He has his arms cocked back. I'm assuming there's a sword off screen.
Yeah. I'm assuming he's got to say like the whole. I forget the name of the martial art, but like the whole idea of it is like you attack while unsheathing, and it's a very quick, hard to read attack. And Sanji interferes, and they start squaring off to fight each other.
The second inter-crew, if you consider Nami part of the crew at this point, fight we've had in this volume because Nami was fighting himself.
And Sanji's just completely unaware of what's going on. He's just simping for Nami. And Zolo's
that's the thing. Yeah.
Zolo's just like, what are you doing? Stop.
Like, you know nothing.
And the Johnny or not Johnny is like, stop it. You're arguing. It's tearing us apart.
Are you going to get a divorce?
Is it my fault?
Is it my fault?
And then Nami again, it's like, if you're going to fight each other, it's like, just go away. Do it somewhere else. It's like, I don't like outsiders putting noses in my business. It's like, again, yeah, I tricked you. I was just trying to get my hands on your treasure. Now you're broke, so our friendship is finished. Damn, what a hoe. Sorry. It's just like, get lost, get a new navigator. I'm done.
Goodbye. And look for your stupid One Piece.
Yeah.
They said it.
Can we get much higher? And it just gets a dark, cold goodbye. Luffy says Nami and just looks like passes out. I was like, nope, taking a nap. Of course, that's Luffy for you. It's like, oh, I don't like what you're saying with it, and I disagree with you, so I'm just gonna be stubborn and lay here until you change your mind.
Yeah,
like a toddler. It's like, no, I'm gonna stamp my feet and dig my heels in. And everyone's reactions to it, like everyone's like, "What the hell, huh?" And it's like just Zolo in the background, just like, "Oh, fucking damn it!" Like head in hands. Johnny and Yasuko are just like, "Oh, it's like, dude, no, like, why are we staying here? Like, she's a traitor. What's the point?" They're pretty much just like, you know what? Hey, it's like we've been cool for a little bit, and it's like, but I'm not. Nami's not worth it.
It's not their fight at this point.
Nami's not worth it. We're leaving now. I'm not going to get killed by these fish people for Nami. She ain't worth it. So I was like, all right, later, guys. All right, good luck, brother. And they head out. And then, oh my god, Usopp's alive! And it just looks to be walking through a
shock
Cocoa Village. And then you actually get, I love the panel. The panel's great. You get to see, it's like we said before, just imagine reading it. It's just like she stabbed her hand the whole time. It's like, oh my god, wow, okay. So, yes, Nami's playing cold, but she actually cares. And then he's kind of just like, oh, wait, well, now he's having his doubts, because originally Usopp was like, oh, fuck her. Like, I'm done with her. She's backstabbing piece of crap. And then more of the last chapter, and he's like, well, I gotta find Zolo. And it's like, wait, Zolo's looking for Arlong. Oh, he probably went back to Arlong Park and starts running towards Arlong Park again. It's like, dude, come on.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's like, just wait, you know? At this point, they're eventually gonna show up. Just wait around till they show up. Back to the crew, and you get some honks from Luffy who's passed out. Sanji and Zolo kind of a little bit bow wow. Sanji still just not really. It's like, do you think she really could have? Zolo, with kind of, it seems like a knowing smirk. It's like, I told her she really was a witch woman. Maybe she decided to prove me wrong. And to me, it was just like, I don't think he thinks that she did. And Sanji's not a fan of him calling her a witch. And then it's just like, Usopp's coming. Yeah, he's pissed, getting ready to square off again. And Usopp's like, "Oh my god, it's you guys! It's so good to see you!" And it just gets caught in the middle of the crossfire of like Sanji throwing a heel. Freaking,
like he still has this huge smile on his face, but he's getting kicked right in the cheek, in the mouth,
and the line. It's like, oh my god, he's alive. And it's like, well, unless you just killed him.
Yeah.
Oh. Cut back to the Tangerine Grove. Here's some whamming and some
pretty.
slamming. It is. I love that.
I love the shots of the orchard.
Yeah, it's so cozy looking.
It is cozy looking, huh?
And Nami's stepsister comes in, sees the house is wrecked. It's like, God fucking damn it, you whiny little bitch. Just learn to deal with your emotions. No, it's just me. That's just me. I'm thinking that. It's like, oh, okay, so you're upset, so break all my shit. Thanks.
God, I think there's some truth to what you're saying.
You were adopted.
Go to fucking therapy instead. God.
And then she's like, nothing, I just need some rest. She's like, I'm done with the tantrums. Rest somewhere the fuck else. This is my house. Ugh. And then they kind of have like a sisterly moment. It's like, oh, you promised to tell me everything. Why are you staring at the treasure? Blah, blah, blah. And you kind of get the thing. It's like friends is like the most like hurtful word for Nami because she thinks she's not allowed to have friends.
Yeah.
And then we get back. Usopp's kind of like laid out from the kick, and Luffy wakes up. It's like, oh my god, Usopp, did Nami do this to you?
Yeah.
And like, Sanji's,
actually,
Sanji's being like, it's like, well, it was Zolo and me, and Zolo's like, no, it was you, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, Luffy, you came, yeah, and Sanji's like, I'm here too, buddy. And Usopp's supposed to, I'll get you for this. And again, like I mentioned last thing, where it's kind of like, Oda's really good at drawing like a shift in the conversation, a shift in its tone. Because the person's like, oh, Luffy, you came, and then like he cut, like you see him, he's just like looking at Luffy at the one point, and then he's looking really pissed off towards Sanji in the middle of the conversation. And like, to me, that really personifies the change in the dynamic of the conversation really well. And I really like seeing it. And then he lets the beans. He's like, actually, Nami saved my life. She help fake my death so I can get away. And then stepsister comes along. It's like, oh, you're never gonna beat Arlong. It's not possible. Luffy's like, who the fuck this? Fucking Sanji's being Sanji. Nami's sister, no wonder she's so beautiful.
Hearts in his eyes.
And so I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean no use? Like, I was just pretty much like, you need to leave. Like, leave the island. Like, I'll explain everything, but you have to go. And then we get another... This is Navy Base 16 ship that beaches. All the villagers are like, oh, what's going on? Mm-hmm. And then we see Mouse Boy come up. And it's like, oh, where's Genzo? And it's like, where can I find the woman named Nami?
Mommy Nami.
I mean that too.
That's pretty much all I got. They're pretty interesting chapter. Like, we're starting to get a lot of it feels like a lot of blanks are starting to get filled in.
Starting to,
That's what I really took, where I took from this chapter. I think stick out in the SPS in this one. Oh, there's basically like a Sanji-esque like simp fight over Nami in it. It's like, hey, you Nami lover from Volume 7 want to fight? I definitely love Mommy more than you.
Said Mommy again. Freudian slip, or...
I mean, again, not wrong.
Actually, the one I did see, it's like, why did Red Shoe Zeph eat his right foot? Wouldn't it have been smarter to eat his left foot? It's like, wrong, actually. The plant foot is the foundation of a strong kick.
He says bzz first, like, wrong.
Yeah, like a buzzer.
You're dumb.
But that was really cool. Because it's like, oh yeah, that actually does look good. Because when you throw a really strong kick, all of your weight is on your back foot. So I thought that was pretty cool. Again, like, the guy does his research. It's nice to see. But yeah, that's all I got for this chapter. Bye.
Okay. And just to kind of go over general impressions real quick, I feel like this chapter does a really good job at setting up. It kind of sets up the transition between a lot of, like, action-packed, setting up the universe that we're in and the relationships and kind of the context. And then we're about to dive into, like, the nitty-gritty... and, like, the backstory. So I feel like this chapter is a good way to kind of get all of this started. I love the intro art here. I really love owls, and Luffy's face imitating the face that the owls were making just cracked me up. I thought that was very, very cute. And I don't know, just seeing it's like there's this one owl in the corner that's, like, really close up as if it was, like, staring into a camera. I thought that was very cute. Sanji's still trying to shoot his shot when it's clearly not the time. Made for some pretty good comic relief in an otherwise pretty tense situation. I think we can sort of agree on that. Dylan pointed it out when Nami says, "You may have monstrous powers, but you're no match for a real monster." Great line. Delicious quote. That was really good. Very, very good writing. And, like, she's not wrong. She's like Arlong is serious business. And, you know, obviously we've not seen the full extent of his wrath here, but, like, I thought Kuro was a really badass villain. I think Kuro has nothing on Arlong. So I'm looking forward to it. I also love that Zoro doesn't believe Nami. Like, Zoro sees through her crap, and I appreciate him calling her out. I think it's a very Zoro thing to do. I think, and it might be something to do with the fact that at this point they know each other, right? And maybe they haven't spent that much time together in general, but, like, he's known her for longer than Sanji. And so where Sanji will, like, protect her honor because he's being a neckbeard, Zoro's like, no, like, I'm just going to call you out on it, and that's it. And I think part of it is, I think he respects her, and I think he respects her enough to call her out on her bullshit. Yeah. And I know I do that with my friends. Like, my really close friends, when I feel like they're on their bullshit, I'll let them know. I'll say, hey, stop it. Yeah. So in a weird way, I think that portrays respect that he has for Nami, because I think he knows that she knows better and she can do better. Also, I noted Sanji needs to stay in his lane. No one talks to Zoro like that.
Uh-oh. Trouble in paradise.
But, like, in a sense, he is kind of the newcomer in this group. And I know that every single character has earned their way as part of the Straw Hats, but I feel like Zoro has something on the others just because of the longevity, and because he does know the other members of the crew better than Sanji does. And that's not to say that Sanji isn't becoming an indispensable character in the story, but I feel like Zoro has that, like, seniority.
I would agree, and I think that was intentional. I think,
yeah.
I'll say, like, Zolo and Luffy became, like, once it was like, hey, I'll help you get out of here, like, they were like insta bros.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. And I feel like as much as Sanji is important, and I think will continue to be important, he's a little greenhorn still. Like, he's not there yet.
It's the new kid on the block.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the squid.
And so,
rocket power.
Right.
Sorry.
And similarly to Zoro, I don't think Luffy believes Nami either. And I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to lay down in the middle of the road just to provoke her. Just to be like, okay, you want to act like that?
Those honks ain't gonna shoot themselves.
I'm gonna take a nap right there, and I'm gonna be a pain in your ass, and you're just gonna deal with it. Like, that's the... Yeah, I gotta say, even though I knew Nami would have somehow avoided stabbing Usopp anywhere fatal, I didn't really expect her to injure herself doing it, like actively hurting herself. It makes sense. I think she needed to make it look bloody, but still, I think it shows that she's capable of self-sacrifice, and I'm seeing that more clearly now, and I feel like that's only going to become more evident as this volume progresses. I also really enjoyed the interaction between Nami and Nojiko. It felt very homey. I think part of it that does help is the setting of the orchard. Makes it feel very, very lived in and very slice of life.
Agree.
But I feel like that's the place where Nami feels the most at home.
Yeah.
And she lets Nojiko in, and Nojiko is aware of her backstory and where all of this comes from. And
it's a very sisterly interaction.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like she doesn't act like this with anyone else, or at least not yet. It's a very unique facet of Nami that I think she reserves only for her interactions with her stepsister, basically. And yeah, it made me feel warm and fuzzy and like, yeah, it felt very human. It felt like a very human interaction. And then, of course, Sanji would react like this to Nojiko.
She's hot!
Yeah. She's a woman and she's hot. It's a little predictable at this point. And
all women
I think we're probably going to see more of it. But it's still kind of charming. Like, it hasn't quite lost its sheen yet, but like, okay, Sanji. You could look at the bigger picture, not just how cute these ladies are. We also we end the chapter on a little bit of a plot twist here as we find out that the Marines, and more specifically Captain Nezumi, are looking for Nami. At the time, I didn't know why they were looking for her, and all I can say in retrospect is Nezumi can eat my ass. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. Because my previous notes were, I don't have much of a guess as to why. Maybe it's because of her life of crime, or maybe they want to recruit her. We'll see. And now I'm like, you know what? Fuck you and everything you stand for.
Fuck you.
Fuck you very, very
much. Exact. Thank you.
I got you. Lily Allen?
Yeah.
Classic. But yeah, that's what I had for chapter 72. I just also want to point out to the listeners, I did end up getting a glass of wine, and I raise it to you.
Aww. So, I had very similar to say. In fact, Via, you almost read from my note page here. So,
I can read your mind, Michael.
Get out!
So, the owl cover, I loved that. Why is Luffy doing that? I don't know. I don't care. It's beautiful. It's adorable in a way. He just wants to be one with the owls. Zoro versus Sanji was a really fun kind of inter-crew conflict. Again, I really liked Usopp versus Nami, even though it was one-sided. I think this would be a little less one-sided. However, they were attacking Usopp, so it had to end pretty quickly. There was no real resolution, nor should there have been. I thought that the kick was cool, Zoro's slash was cool, and Usopp being in the middle was funny and a good way to bring him back into the fold. And I also loved the line, "He's alive unless you killed him."
Yeah.
And yeah, I also wrote that the scene between Nojiko and Nami was a very human scene. I thought that was incredibly well written. I thought that it brought up themes of depression and anxiety in a situation which I could never relate. I've never been in a situation such as any of them. Nami's wrecking the house. She clearly has her own special way of dealing with these feelings, and Nojiko has some experience in dealing with Nami dealing with these feelings. It's not her first time. It's very sisterly. It's very sibling-esque. I think that it shows the kind of love that they have for each other, but not just love, but understanding as well. And it develops that relationship in a very interesting and realistic way. Then the Navy comes looking for Nami, and I thought that was an interesting twist. And yeah, in sum, I thought that this chapter was one of development and transition. We're moving on to the flashback that we'll see, but also it's building to the conflict. We're getting some real grudges being held for Nami against Arlong and the crew. We get the Straw Hats minus Nami reuniting. That was good. They are together now, and they're together to kind of understand Nami's backstory. We get more Nami exposition, and then the Navy shows up as another actor in this, which will ultimately lead us directly to the conflict, as we will see in the next chapter, or maybe a couple chapters from this. Either way, it was a good transition to what we have coming up. And on that note, we will bring part 1 of our 2-part episode to a close. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed recording it. And as always, bon voyage!